Hey paisanos, and welcome to the Super What Happened Super Show, the YouTube video place where we plunge, jump, and bop our way through some of the entertainment industry's biggest, smelliest disasters. Phew,
I think the Super Mario Bros. Movie is
must have
great.
opened up a sewer drain because I detect an unmistakable odor that's been hovering around Hollywood for the last 26 years.
Sleep well, Ninja.
Bizarre aroma of the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Okay, maybe
Thanks
Stary in
to
a minute.
Flophouse VIPers for voting on this subject because, and I don't want to sound hyperbolic here, it's safe to say that the stigma of this one film has left a lasting stank.
Yeah, I can recognize it's Matt from Super Best Friends. I see it now.
1993, that it's never
He
really
was just
been
on
able
screen,
to
so now I
wash
know.
off. And speaking of the 1990s, I present to you 1992. It was a year when Nintendo was king of the entertainment world.
I watched
because
the
their
Super
portly
Mario Bros.
clever
movies so
Mario
many
had
times.
become a more recognizable mascot than goddamn Mickey Mouse.
What happened?
And they had decided the time was right to expand into films. And by the early 90s, Hollywood was begging for it. It was clear that video games were
That's
no
pretty
longer
cool,
a fad,
Kaz.
but rather the cool, hip thing for kids and
Oh,
teenagers.
well, nice, Red.
So all of the movie
Yeah, he was a big
studios
actor.
were throwing all of the money at Nintendo for the film rights to the Italian stereotype.
Mamma mia.
Exit Tier 1
We're
Caveman.
talking tens of millions of dollars here, but the Japanese giant was nonplussed by all the razzle-dazzle of Tinseltown.
Exit
as all these
Prime
big
Runny
pitches
Onion.
just didn't feel
And
right.
him.
In fact, Nintendo wasn't even looking for a big payday by giving the keys away to the Mushroom Kingdom, as they were just more interested in finding the right production studio
Exit
that could
Bits
do
Richie.
the IP justice. So after rebuffing all of those
nice, Red.
tempting deals, they eventually went with a little-known company known as Leitmotiv.
The Mario
Now,
Bros.
they were
movie
a
is not
prestige
garbage.
studio that was responsible for
Oh, let me skip around a little bit,
standpoint,
'cause it's pretty long.
Danny DeVito.
Oh, whoops! Oh, I dropped my monster condom that I used for my Magnum Dong.
He was considered to both star and direct, but there was no script at the time, and
It
without
was
one,
good.
Mr. DeVito eventually declined as well. Now,
I need to
this
rewatch
was a
it.
bit of a wake-up call because Leitmotiv realized that without a working script, their net to catch talent was smaller than it should have been. Therefore, the first
Exit
draft
Prime
of
Reese's.
Super Mario Bros. Was handed in by one of the writers of Rain Man, Barry Morrow, and who would have thunk it? His script was
Exit Prime
pretty
Cheese.
much like Rain Man. Again, it placed a lot, like a concerning amount of focus on Mario and Luigi's relationship. They were going to go on a long, weird road trip together and would eventually start
Alright, I wanna
opening
skip
up
to the movie.
after Bob Hoskins and Samantha Mathis, the voice of Krista in Ferngully, as they both also really liked that current draft. Finally, the
I'm not
role
sure,
of King
Peach.
Koopa was offered
I don't remember
to
that.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Michael Keaton, but both turned it down for unknown reasons. Respected veteran actor Dennis Hopper wound up taking the part.
Yeah.
And although he didn't know who or what a Koopa was, he was encouraged by his family to play the
See,
iconic
that looks
villain.
just fucking
So,
like
with a solid
Bowser.
script
They did
and
a
bunch
great
of
job.
enthusiastic actors ready to go. How did this, the first video game to film adaptation, salt the earth so much? Made it so that even a quarter of a century later, the term video game movie still elicits a groan.
Well, because they've all been
How
shitty.
did this happen? Well, better chow down on some super mushrooms, people. This is gonna get rough.
Thanks for the 15
The
gift subs,
director's
Jelly
chair was
Puff.
the only
Thank you,
one that was
Jelly.
still empty, and with several
Appreciate it.
candidates
Thank you,
already
Jelly.
crossed off, and with most actors signed, Leitmotiv needed to find someone to drive the Mario bus, and soon. They then came across Annabelle Jankel and Rocky Morton, a couple
That's a
that had
cool
only
name.
one movie to their credit, Dead or Alive.
Well, this looks good. I've never even heard of this movie.
Not that DOA, but this one.
Oh.
Remember this absolute banger?
Damn it.
Of course you don't. It doesn't really matter because the duo were far more famous for another creation, Max Headroom, which, for our younger viewers,
What?
needs a bit of an introduction. Max was
They
like
did
this
Max
weird
Headroom?
virtual celebrity that would hawk all types of products and star in music videos
Oh,
and
what the
short
fuck is-
films,
holy
and it's
shit.
quintessential late 80s cyber pop. The world of
Thank you for the
Headroom had
20 gift
sci-fi
subs, Blue Crow, and the
overtones relied
17 gift
heavily on
subs,
computer
Applewood. Holy
animation,
shit.
and this edge, Leitmotiv felt, would be a good
Thank you,
fit for
Blue and
Mario.
Apple.
One problem, however, the duo
Really
hated
appreciate it.
the
Holy shit.
fantasy-rooted
Thank you.
script that everyone else was behind and demanded rewrites before they would sign on. Leitmotiv and Nintendo reluctantly agreed to this.
Appreciate
as by
the
this
back-to-back
point, they were
huge drops.
desperate to get the film finally into production and didn't want to go on another director hunt. So after some time tinkering with the script, the Mario brothers, with plumbing as their game, found a secret warp world working on a drain. But instead of finding a magical kingdom, they're greeted with a dystopian mission.
I think it looks cool. Like, it's a cool universe.
And all types of other
And like
stupid shit.
fungus and shit.
Very
It's cool.
slowly, the script morphed into a more sci-fi action film that closely resembled the
Yeah, I've
world of
watched the
Max
Outlaw Pass.
Headroom.
We have already
Hell,
done
just
it.
place him alongside King Koopa here. Which one do I shoot? The production of sets and costumes were getting underway, but Jenkel and Morton weren't done yet, because once
Brings me some
Nintendo
ecstasy.
and Leitmotiv started to feel the script was getting away from what everyone signed up for, they asked for it to be reined back in. The directors were beside themselves, threatening to walk off the project if they were not giving their way, stating that everyone had agreed that the script would change. Leitmotiv
To be fair, it's like the
Now,
dumbest movie
Bob
ever made,
Hoskins, John
and these
Leguizamo,
directors
and the
hopefully
cast
never
showed up to
directed
the
anything
North
else.
Carolina warehouse where the
But it's
sets were
special to
being
me.
built, they were in for quite a shock. They had not been made aware by the producers that the script would be receiving rewrites and were incredulous to see that they were now starring in a sci-fi movie with fungus and dinosaurs. What made matters worse is that even
Where's
in
the
the
Prime
early
Wembley?
days of shooting, Jenkel and Morton did not endear themselves amongst the cast and crew, with many of them citing the duo as bossy and conceited, often
Aw.
making superfluous changes on a whim. With this tension on set, shooting days dragged on as the cast followed the directors over the ever-changing dialogue. Dennis
Thanks,
Hopper,
Risa
for his
Blossom.
part, stopped bothering to memorize his lines, as he knew they would be changed the very next day, and, you know, he was right.
The princess.
So, with tons of tempers boiling,
Was that in the movie?
know it would be a great thing to add boiling heat. The warehouse where most of the movie was filmed happened to lack air conditioning, and the summer weather of
There's the Prime Wag
1992
and Risa
was
Brilliant.
breaking records. So when you see a nice sheen of moisture coating the actors in the finished film, that's not special effects, but rather real tangible anger sweat that lasted the duration of the 4-month
That
shoot.
is true. Everyone was
Deal with all
really
this,
oily.
Each actor found their own way
Everyone
to
was
cope.
just
To Bob
fucking
Hoskins,
covered
especially
in
John
sweat.
Leguizamo, the solution was alcohol. John has since admitted there's several scenes in the finished film where he is indeed inebriated, with the most
Nice.
notable one being behind the wheel of an actual car. During said scene, he pumped the brakes a little too aggressively, which almost caused the car to tip forward, but did cause a door to slam into Hoskins' arm, injuring it.
Nice.
Closely at the
Fuck
finished
yeah.
film, you can see several instances of Hoskins' arm in a painted cast.
Thank you,
That's some
Applewood.
good what happened shit right there. The actor's
Appreciate another 10
frustrations
gift
came
subs,
to a
man.
head, however,
Thanks to
with
Prime
Mr.
Django.
Dennis Hopper, who got
you,
exceedingly
Applewood.
tick with the directors, having a reported 2 to 3 hour tirade against them during one of his scenes. He complained loudly and in public that they were the most unprofessional people he'd ever worked with.
I could agree
stated
with that,
his
and I've never even met
disapproval
him.
of the constant changes to the script and simply refused to shoot his scene. The directors eventually pleaded that they'll do whatever he takes as long as they could wrap up shooting for the day. Exhausted, Mr. Hopper simply said he'll finish it as it's written, he just really needed to blow off some steam. Say what you want, but this rompin', stompin', angry attitude sure fit the character he was playing.
Yeah, it takes a little while, Jake. Speaking of Bowser, does anyone know if Doug Bowser is even alive? Has he been seen since his public announcement of new CEO?
Rocky Morton adjusting one of the actors that played the horrific Goomba creatures in the film. Morton felt the animatronic suit wasn't grungy enough and proceeded to pour hot coffee all over it. The coffee eventually seeped through and burned the actor inside, who let out a pained yell. The director was heard saying, "Oh, well, it's just an extra." He has since refuted this claim.
What a piece of
and said
shit.
that the coffee was cold. The temperature of the drink aside, it's still not a great look. Nintendo
Thanks,
and
Arisa.
Leitmotiv were,
All correct.
as you could assume, very nervous about the state of the film. The budget was out of control, clocking in at $48 million before marketing, which wasn't chump change in 1993, with a big expensive animatronic Yoshi and CGI effects being cited as the main cause.
Yoshi was
Once
cute. I
everything
don't care
worked,
what you say.
however,
You can
the
shit on the
Fuchsias
movie all you want.
walked the
Yoshi
directing
was
duo
cute.
out of the editing room during the post-production phase. This happens in the movie industry fairly frequently. Everyone's nervous about the thing they poured millions of dollars into, so to protect that investment, they would simply fix it in post. Jankel and Morton, of course, complained to the Directors Guild about the lockout, eventually getting a say on the final cut of the movie. Despite being apprehensive about the quality, Leitmotiv and Hollywood
I appreciate
Pictures
it. Thank
felt
you,
any
Esme.
problems could be
Hope you have a good night.
mitigated by simply advertising the crap out of it. A toy line was produced, commercials ran during Saturday mornings, and hell, you couldn't open up a comic book in 1993 without staring at that big metallic M. So, by that measure, they were at least
Thanks for
throwing
Prime,
everything they
Bugsy.
had to make the public aware that Mario was coming.
Whoa, cool!
Unfortunately, a couple of things prevented the Plumbers from Brooklyn from being a success, with one of the main ones being that the public were made far more aware of something else that was hitting theaters.
Uh-oh.
Jurassic Park opened 2 weeks before Mario Brothers and would explode into a
Sleep well,
pop
Jelly, and
culture
thanks again for the
phenomenon, kicking
generosity.
off the CGI revolution and making dinosaurs cool to kids again. What did Super Mario Brothers have?
Sir, what is it now? The Goombas are dancing again.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, this coupled with the horrific reviews was a
Oh,
1-2
such a
punch that
good movie.
destroyed
Fuck.
any chance of the film making back its budget, which of course it didn't. Mario Brothers barely made back $20 million on that $48 million budget, one of the biggest net losses
Thanks to Prime
at
Fruity
the
Loop.
time. So
Resub
it was
Hub.
such a disastrous outing for the first movie based on a game, followed by a similar stinker with 1994's Street Fighter, cemented the notion that games just couldn't be adapted
I never
to film,
watched that
even
one.
if that wasn't exactly true. 1995's Mortal Kombat. the
I did watch that
Angelina Jolie
one.
Tomb Raider film,
That one was
Silent
good.
Hill, Prince
Don't
of
know that
Persia,
one.
Angry Birds,
Don't know that one.
Rampage, Warcraft,
That one
and
was
now Detective
good.
Pikachu,
Oh,
while
fuck.
all having mixed reviews, all went on to financial success. So the curse, as it were, has long since faded. Now, speaking of faded, where are they all now? Leitmotiv and Hollywood Pictures have both ceased to be, although the latter was still distributing films up until 2007. John Leguizamo went on to star in several big films throughout the 90s and has
Yep.
worked steadily to this day. While miserable during the actual filming, he credits Super Mario Bros. With his rise as a comedy star, and stated in a
Here's a gift sub,
2013
Bozar.
video celebrating the film's 20th anniversary, "I'm glad people appreciate the movie. It was the first. Nobody had done it before. We made a lot of great things, and we made a lot of mistakes."
Agreed. It
John
was
is referencing
mostly
the fact
great,
that
though.
In subsequent years, Mario Bros. Has gained somewhat of an appreciation for its off-kilter nature and unique setting, which culminated in the Super Mario Bros. Movie Archive, an extensive encyclopedia for just about every single facet of the film. Give it
Why?
a look-see for even more behind-the-scenes info. Bob Hoskins unfortunately passed away in 2014, but did not share the same reverence for the film that his brother Luigi had. "The worst thing I ever did was
Oh,
Super Mario
shit.
Brothers. It was a nightmare. The whole experience was a nightmare. It had a husband and wife team directing whose arrogance had been mistaken
Thanks to
for
Resub
talent.
Denial.
After so many weeks, their own agent told them to get off the set. Nightmare. Idiots. Dennis Hopper, who also passed away in 2010, shared some similar sentiments.
Damn.
"I made a picture called Super Mario Brothers, and my 6-year-old son at the time, he's now 18, he said, 'Dad,
Oh,
I think
no.
you're probably a pretty good actor, but why did you play that terrible guy King Koopa in the Super Mario Brothers?' And I said, 'Well, I did that so you could have shoes.' And he said, 'Dad, I don't need shoes that badly.' As for Jankel and Morton, their careers never really recovered, having
Good
only directed in
news.
TV
Very
and
good
commercials
news.
since Super Mario Bros. And claim that Hollywood had blacklisted them ever since. They also divorced in 2005. Now, while
Makes
it's
sense.
easy to place the blame on them, they have since stated they wanted Super Mario Bros. To succeed, but were always frustrated they couldn't make the movie 100% their own, as it definitely was a project of competing visions. Between them, the producers, and the actors, everyone wanted something a bit different, so if they had managed to fire on all cylinders and maybe land on a release date away from Jurassic Park, who knows what cinematic
Yeah, I
adventures the
know.
Mario
I've heard that,
Brothers could
okay.
have had, especially since the
I
ending
understand.
sets itself up for sequels. The failure of the film scared Nintendo off of cinematic adaptations for over 25 years, and only recently did they announce that they were finally re-entering it with an animated Super Mario Bros. Movie within the next few years, which is probably what they should have done in the first place. If you'd like to suggest some other cinematic disastrophes,
Honestly, though, that movie, Super Mario Bros., bangs. Thanks to the resub, Craig. I want to rewatch it now. That was like the best advertisement for the movie. Now I just want to watch it again. Okay. Is this... What is it about? Give me like an overview. Some cults are just